Nice. Right on time. Well, hi, Kelly. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you because honestly, when I think about you, I think about someone who has a really strong growth mindset. And in the time that we've known each other, you're always willing to learn new things, try different things. So I'm just excited to hear about what you've been up to lately.
Yeah, I'm excited to share and see where this conversation goes.
Okay, so maybe I love starting out this way because I find this so interesting, but would love to hear your full career journey to date.
Okay, I'll go way back. I'll start maybe in university just because it does kind of tie into what I'm doing now. So my sister-in-law actually was a neuro researcher, which when I was younger, I had no idea what that was, but it sounded really interesting. So I had the opportunity to volunteer with her in her lab that she was working in and do some like neuro research. She was actually doing it. I was playing around in the lab, but it was really interesting to be exposed to that, which led me into sciences and got to experience my undergrad in neuropsychology and realized maybe that wasn't the career for me, but it was something that I was really interested in and like learning about. But I ended up kind of transitioning from doing that in school to working in liquidation, which again, very random, but had the opportunity to flip some inventory. So
Interesting.
A family friend had excess inventory in his warehouse and was like, can you do something with this? If you can keep the profits. Okay, like I'll try it.
Why not? Yeah.
So my dad helped me and he was like, why don't you try going to flea markets or talking to this person? And it kind of snowballed into an actual business where I'd buy overstock, or if a company was going out of business, I'd buy their inventory and sell it elsewhere.
Wow.
And from there I was like, okay, this is really interesting. I really loved it. And it turned into a licensed apparel business. Again, I was working with my dad and some of his partners. We started importing from overseas, selling to some of the big chains in Canada. And the more that business grew, the more I realized I have no background in business. I have no idea how to make decisions because my undergrad was in sciences. So I was thinking about my options and how to grow and what made the most sense for me. And I decided to go back to school to do my MBA, hoping that I would gain the frameworks and tools to actually make decisions and be a good business leader,
right?
And business like decision maker. At the time, I was like, I'll go back to liquidation, or I'll go back to this. I didn't. But at the time, I remember listening or reading a book or something at the time, and it was like, a big issue with entrepreneurs is that they have these like visions and ideas in their head. They don't know how to get them out onto paper, or they don't know how to explain it to the team. And that's where there's a lot of complications. So that's what I wanted to overcome as an entrepreneur. So I went to school, ended up in marketing. So brand marketing in CPG. Started a company with my boyfriend, now husband, which was called Awoke, and we did the like e-commerce thing for a bit. Got really interested in e-commerce, and we hosted our company on Shopify, which got me interested in Shopify. And I had done my MBA with a colleague of ours, Chelsea, and she was like, well, if you're really interested in Shopify and you like the tool, you should look at working there. I'm like, CPG to tech, that's a big jump, very different worlds, very different style of marketing, but okay, like I'll try it out. So she helped me through the interview process, spoke with you on the first time, and I was like, she's gonna know I'm a fraud. Samia's gonna know I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I think I faked it decently well.
You were amazing. I remember we were all so impressed that we need Kelly on the team. Regardless of what the role is gonna look like, we need Kelly on the team because I think your entrepreneurial spirit and just that growth mindset, like we talked about earlier, really came through.
And I think, and this is like a thread through my whole career, is I'm open to learning. I'm open to experimenting and figuring out this new craft or this new industry, but I can bring to you this other thing that I have. So for Shopify, I can bring brand marketing and I can bring, the traditional side of marketing into the tech space. Or as an entrepreneur coming into General Mills at the time, I could say I am an entrepreneur. I know how to grow brands. So every time I made that step, I could say, my lack of knowledge in this industry or in this craft is fine. I know how to learn, but I can bring something really interesting.
You had your value proposition.
Exactly. And that's the same thing that I did. So from Shopify, when I was ready to move on, I had my check marks of things that I was looking for in the next company that I wanted to work for, things that I really loved about Shopify, things that I really loved about General Mills, things that I didn't want to replicate, and figuring out what that would look like at the next company. And Moderna, which is where I am now, just checked every single one of those boxes, which I never thought it just was not in my mindset, but it really did. And again, I don't have pharmaceutical experience. It is a very different world, but coming in with the tech experience and knowing how to work in traditional marketing all kind of brought together something that worked really well for them and was really interesting and something I'm really excited about for me.
That's really cool. Yeah, and especially coming out of the pandemic, I feel like working at a company like Moderna is super interesting and fascinating.
It's wild because when you think about brand marketing, you know, it takes years and years and usually doesn't even happen for you to be a household name, a brand name. Like that just very few brands have that sort of exposure and they do. And not only do they, but in 2 years they became a name that every single one. And that's huge. That's because of the world that we just came out of. But that's also something that you have to work really hard to maintain. And people have, you know, perceptions of the last 2 years and what that brand name means. And you have to think about what elements do you want to pull forward? What elements do you want to leave in the past? And that's a really, I mean, that's not my job, but that is a really big job to figure out what does Moderna or what does your brand mean going forward.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm curious, Kelly, you've done marketing type of work in a lot of very different industries, from CPG to tech and now in pharmaceutical. So how has marketing differed across all these industries?
Very good question.
Or do you find that it's very transferable?
Yeah. I think ultimately the goal of marketing is going to be the same and the objective is the same. You want people to know your brand, to choose your brand, the vision to be very clear, but how you're going to go about that through these different styles of marketing, that's where it changes. So CPG, and I think it's quite similar to pharmaceutical, although the rules and regulations in pharmaceutical is quite strict, so things like that differ, but it's brand marketing. So you're building up the brand, you're focused on much more of the image of the brand and the storytelling and the narrative. So that's a big focus on brand marketing. You're kind of like how I like to think about it on brand marketing, you are the central hub on a wheel, and there's all these spokes that come up out of it, finance and sales and, you know, all the different pieces to manage the business. And you're that person, not that you know all those other areas, but that you're helping move that wheel forward. Right. And brand image is kind of leading that, and ultimately like sales and distribution of your product. And on the tech side, at least what I experienced, and in growth marketing, it's much more analytical. You're much more focused on A/B testing, experimentation, thinking through more of the performance side of it, not really the brand image of it. So there still is that, like at Shopify, there's still a brand team who's focused on that, but you're really trying to bring people into a funnel and thinking about how to trickle them down to ultimately make a conversion point, whereas brand marketing is broader and bigger picture, a bit higher level, and you're not really that central spoke anymore. You're focused on that funnel, and then there's people moving around you.
Makes sense.
That's how I've experienced it. Transitioning into Moderna and how my experience there has been, it seems like typically it's more of that CPG style, but they're looking, and I think this is across the board everywhere, to be more analytical, to be more funnel focused, to think about how does A, B, and C impact D, and how do we ultimately grow the brand. And I was just reading an article about Airbnb actually, and how they're trying to merge the two worlds, and you can't just have brand and you can't just have growth. How do you, or like performance, how do you bring these together so that when you're amplifying the brand through your growth funnel, people have that brand image to rely on? It just like helps emulate that further.
Yeah. So I'm curious to know, Kelly, I know we touched on entrepreneurship for you, and that's a common thread, I feel like, throughout your career. That's how you really got started and interested at Shopify as well. So what has your journey looked like outside of your full-time corporate job, but more your side hustles?
My consistent side hustles. Well, I'm a busybody, so I need to always have something on the go on the side. So as I mentioned, like the very first liquidation company, it was called Clear Outs and Closeouts. So that was my very first one, which was very fun. I was so much younger, so there was no real responsibility to making it into something real. But I really enjoyed navigating work-life balance and hustling, meeting new people. And I'm more introverted. Like I can be out and talk to people, but I need to like nap afterwards. But I like exercising that side of myself. So that's something that I really enjoy out of the entrepreneurship side of things. So I had that business, and then I started Awoke and Aware with Corey, and that built for a year before we launched. I think it was about a year. We had an idea. Both of us kind of separately had a very similar idea, and then we merged elements of it together to build that company. And that took a year to build, figuring out pricing, stock. Like we made our own shirts before we sent it to a manufacturer to build it, but we were like literally going shopping, cutting up sleeves and putting these things together, designing the logos, everything from that to from like deciding on the manufacturer, designing it, to picking and packing the orders and thinking about the boxing and how we were going to sell it, to the building the website and the ads and all of that. We did everything.
And I think that showed in the quality of your products too, because anybody can start a print on demand business, and that's, you know, no shame in that. That's totally cool. But I think it says a lot about your intention behind the business was more serious and significant.
Well, that was, I mean, we did take it very seriously, which like sometimes you just need to laugh at things, but we were very, very serious about it. And we wanted, so it was Awoke and Aware eco-friendly apparel, with a percentage donated back to wildlife conservations around the world. And we wanted to expand that from wildlife conservations to like a much broader purpose. And part of that to us wouldn't make sense doing print on demand, where it kind of leaned a bit into fast fashion. We wanted to be more very stylish but sustainable. So that was part of the reason that it took us a really long time to find the right manufacturers and the right partners and the right animal conservations to donate to, because you end up hearing these horror stories. And so it was a long time to build it, and then ultimately we launched it and it grew. It was really great. We had a lot of fun doing it. It was also great as in a relationship and a business partnership. We learned a ton doing that. It was really difficult, but I think it made us really strong to go through that together. And then the pandemic hit. So we had a tiny condo filled with boxes of t-shirts and packaging materials stuck in this house, going crazy, or not in a house, in a condo, going crazy. And then the business just took off. Like we just did so well through the pandemic, as I think so many businesses did. People were shopping. We had more time to actually experiment and figure things out and grow it. And then we hit a wall, and we were like, this is amazing. We love what we've built, but we didn't think it was something that we wanted to continue moving forward with. But we had people working with us throughout, like social media managers or people helping manage like SEO on the website and different things like that. And one person was really passionate about the business and really loved what we were doing. And ultimately, when we started to think about our exit strategy, was interested in purchasing the business. So that's how we exited out of it. So it could still live on. We knew this person. We knew that they loved what it was, and I'm actually not sure where it's at now. I haven't looked into it in a while, but I think it was 2 years ago, I guess, that we decided to sell it.
And that's a hard decision too, but I mean, I think
it was really hard, but we knew that there was something there, like there was something special, but our motivation died. And I think that's actually a big issue with entrepreneurs, is you're really passionate at the beginning, and then the passion dies because it's really hard, and then the motivation dies.
And I think with entrepreneurs, a lot of the enjoyment comes from actually building the thing. And then once the thing is built, you're like, okay, I want to build something else now.
I'm ready for the next thing.
And I think with Awoke and Aware, you guys did a fantastic job. Like when I came across you and the business, and actually we came across each other before Shopify even.
I forgot about that.
I think it's super interesting that our paths continue to cross that way. But I was super impressed with what you guys had built, and I'm sure it was a hard decision, but I feel like you guys left when it was right for you.
It was right, and both of our careers were getting super busy, and we thought, okay, we want to be able to spend more time focusing on our careers, and that's kind of where we want to spend a bit more energy. But speaking about the like motivation element and always wanting to start something new, like and finding something new or new problems to solve, maybe 2 years ago, just as that ended, I started doing consulting or like growth advising, both on the brand side, but also on the growth side for startups and scale ups. Nice. And that's been really interesting because I get to work with all these new businesses who the entrepreneurs or the founders have that passion, they have that excitement, they're trying to navigate how to grow their business, and it's a sweet spot for me to be able to help solve those problems and uncover opportunities for them, and then they can take it off and grow. And I like that early stage of it, so that's been really great to do, and then it keeps me occupied on the evenings and weekends where like I like to have something going on. But yeah, that's been keeping me busy as well.
Yeah, I think it's great that you were able to discover what parts of entrepreneurship you really enjoy, and you were able to kind of make an impact for other entrepreneurs in that way.
Yeah.
Great. So I know you said you have another project right now, which is slightly different than entrepreneurship, but you know,
I'm like, what am I doing?
Where am I going with this?
Yes. So, so daytime Moderna, loving it. And then in the evenings and weekends, our new baby is working on our house. So we got a house peak pandemic, which was really exciting. It was a fixer-upper for sure. And we have been, and when I say we, I mean my husband, because I kind of have given up a bit on my energy toward that's my motivation waning after a year. But he has built this entire house. And to see that, again, like as like life partner, but also someone who's just so dedicated to whatever they're working on and not giving up on anything. He's learned how to do all this. It's not like he was a construction worker before, but it's really cool to see that transformation of like a dump of a house to something that we're really proud of. And
well, it's very impressive, and we know how hard Toronto home buying is.
Yeah.
So it's great that you guys were able to find a fixer-upper. I know for my husband and I, we are not capable of taking that project on. So
YouTube all of it, and you can learn even like, so Corey's like, can you drywall? He put the drywall up on the main floor washroom, but asked me to do the mudding of it, like put whatever. And I was like, sure. So I'm like watching YouTube videos while I'm putting the mud on the wall and trying to figure it out. And
again, that growth mindset, Kelly. I feel like that is the common thread throughout your life.
I'm also a construction worker on the side. I'm for hire.
You're able to wear many hats. Okay, so I guess we kind of talked high level about what your day looks like, you know, with Moderna as your day job, and in the evenings and weekends just working on your house. But maybe walk me through kind of a typical day. What time you wake up? What does it consist of?
Typically I wake up at 6:15 and I will go to the gym for an hour or so. That just like is my release. I find it's quieter at that time. So I really enjoy doing that. Get ready, shower, and head to work. I go into the office 2 or 3 days a week. So after the gym, getting on the subway and the streetcar, I do my Duolingo because I'm trying to learn a new language. Nice. So I just play around with that, which is great.
What language are you?
Hebrew. Ooh, so my in-laws and my husband all speak Hebrew, and I'm trying to understand what they're saying. Slowly I'm picking up a few words, but it's hard. Okay, so Duolingo, get to the office, have my coffee, meeting heavy days. I'll leave around the office around 5:30ish. So meetings all day. I go home,
take a nap
from all the meetings. Sometimes if I'm working with a client, I'll do like an hour or so when I get home, and
that's right for your consulting.
For the consulting stuff on the side. Corey and I'll like make dinner. We'll have dinner together. He usually works a bit later than I do, and then 2 or 3 days a week I go for a run with my brother in the evening, which is really nice. He lives just down the street, so that's been really nice. Great. And watch some TV and pass out by like 9:30.
I know, right? Okay, cool. So what are your plans for the rest of the year? Other than finishing up the house renos?
Finishing up the house. I would love to do some camping this summer, which we haven't done. We didn't do last year because we were like, there was a lot of house stuff. Also,
last time your wedding,
and we got married last summer, or springtime. So I'd love to do like some outdoorsy stuff. We're thinking about maybe doing like a little getaway more in fall. I don't want to go away in summertime because it's so beautiful.
So nice here. Yeah, we get 3 months of it. Might as well enjoy
it here. Work is come fall time. We'll be really busy. So definitely just gonna like buckle down for that. And I'd love to pick up because as I started at Moderna, I didn't really take on clients because I just wanted to like figure it out, feel out like what is timing like, what does life look like in this world. But I'd love to be able to find the time to pick up another client or two, and then I potentially am looking at teaching a course on either growth marketing or maybe case analysis and presentation, which is I was on a case team back at Schulich, and there might be an opportunity to do that in September.
That's amazing. So you would be teaching at Schulich?
At Schulich, yeah. So we'll see if that comes to fruition, but that's something that would really interest me. I'd love to test it. So
that's awesome. Well, I think that wraps it up for the questions. Amazing. But I do have some rapid fire ones.
Okay, yes, let's do it.
Let's get into it. A skill or hobby that you'd like to develop?
I like to pretend I'm artistic. So if I could get more into painting and bring that back.
You did some of it, actually.
I did.
You sold some pieces as well.
Yeah, so that was another side hustle that I tried, is selling my art. Apparently
side hustler here.
Yeah, people don't want to pay for my artwork. I don't know why. I think it's beautiful, but
not biased at all.
No. But if I could actually like learn and have the patience to learn that, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, I feel like it's very therapeutic.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, what's a podcast that you're currently listening to or loving?
Two. So I listened to Smartless, which is Jason Bateman and a few guys from Arrested Development, which I love. It's just like silly and whatever. And then on the tech side, I listened to a podcast called the All In podcast. It's, I think, 4 or 5 VCs or investors or people who have just made it in the tech space, and they talk about current tech issues and trends. So, and then, the last one that I listen to a lot is the Lex Friedman podcast. So he's a data scientist, I think, or researcher, really smart guy, studied and teaches at like some of the top US universities, and he has on really interesting interviewees. Is that the word? And again, like mostly in the tech space, but just like an array of topics, and it's so interesting to
hear. What would you say is the hardest thing about entrepreneurship, based on your experience so far?
I'm going to say 2 hardest things. Keeping the motivation, because similar to painting, you have it in your head exactly how you want it to go, and it doesn't always go that way, and that can be really defeating. So keeping that constant motivation to just keep going and keep trying and figuring it out. And layered into that is focus. And this is something that I struggled with as an entrepreneur, but all the founders that I've worked with, they struggle with this as well, because you're just trying to make this thing work, and you see a million paths to that goal, and you want to try each of them out, but you're going to burn yourself out, you're going to burn your team out, you're never going to achieve that goal if you're trying 18,000 things out. So just choose one or two or 3, and depending on the size of your team and your resources, what you can test out, but keeping that focus on that's my goal and here's how I'm going to get here, and this is why this path forward or these channels or this investment makes sense. It's really difficult.
What would you say is the most enjoyable thing about entrepreneurship?
The learning. You come out of it learning something new every single time you put your focus on it, and being proud that you've invested your time in building XYZ, whatever it is. I think that's really cool. Okay,
a piece of advice or maybe quote that has resonated with you.
Someone actually gave me this advice. It was more when I was looking for a new job, but I think it can apply to a lot of things. But it was, make sure you're not running away from something, but running towards something. And that was in reference to a job. But I think it's true, like when you're starting a new business or you're making really any choice in life,
or a new relationship,
like anything that you're doing, it's being clear on where are you trying to get and what are your goals, and even the focus conversation, like where are you trying to get to, and work towards that rather than trying to get away from whatever other outcome. And that's just always stuck with me.
Yeah, love that. Okay, if you could do anything, money not being a concern, what do you think you would be doing?
Ooh, like with my life?
That's
traveling, I'm sure, a lot. Setting up my family and my parents and my in-laws and everything, just to like
make
so
sure
they can do whatever they want. Learning, and then arts. Like I try to take pottery classes in the evenings, or classes
and all that free time that you have, right? Okay, last question. We didn't really talk about this, but you have a big background with animals in your life.
Yes.
So what would you say is your spirit animal?
Ooh, probably a raccoon. Yeah, because they're little giant rats that everyone wants to kick. Hi. No, but they're just like
in the garbage.
Welcome to my life. No, they look stupid, and not that I think I look stupid, but they're just unsuspecting. And I think when people first meet me, they are maybe surprised by like where I actually have come from and what I've done and like parts of my life. But also I choose them because I just think they're so cute, and they need love, and everyone hates them, and they're just like an alternative version to a dog. And I love them.
Okay, well, I think that wraps it up on that note.
This is so fun.
Yeah, I honestly feel like I actually learned a lot of new things about you, so I'm very glad we did this.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for being here.